Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're calling or watching this live, or when you watch it recorded. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited about my guest today, Raquel Borras. She is amazing. And someone actually thought that she was a professional comedian because she is so funny. And I love just bantering back and forth with her. So when we talked about being on the show, she said she has all kinds of serendipity in her life that has led her from, at one point, being a real estate agent, moving from the San Diego area to back east, coming back to meet her, to stay with her mother once in a while, to raise a family now back east. And oh my gosh, I wrote down some other things that I'm going to challenge her with when she comes on. But good morning, Bernard. I see that you're here, and here is my guest. Drum roll, please. Okay.
So I spared you because I don't know if you saw that when you did the post about me being on your show this morning. I said maybe I'll show up in my bathrobe. I put a picture of me in my bathrobe. Yeah, so I spared you with the bathrobe, and it's only because I'm going to have lunch with my dad right after this, so I'm not going to have time to change. And also, it's cold here in San Diego. Like, I'm in a beanie hat usually in Virginia, and I'm doing it here. And look at my buddy. Okay, so Michael, just so you know, I told her that you were going to say hi, so she's willing to have you come on if you want to come on and say hi, because she's in San Diego too. Like, and you're coming to San Diego. So just if you want to come on, let me know, and I'll just send you the link. Hint, hint. I love to share the spotlight. But
okay, I'm going to start with. When I made the post of you coming on, I put artist first, because you said, I am kind of an artist, but oh my gosh, all the stuff that I see of yours on LinkedIn, I'm like, I want to buy it. I want to buy some of your stuff.
For sale.
Okay. So when you said, well, I'm kind of an artist, I was like, kind of, you're amazing. So
it's funny because I was on a live with two teenagers. They were interviewing me the other day, and they were like, oh, so you moonlight as an artist. And I was like, you know what? I probably should start daylighting as an artist, because like moonlight means like I don't really want to talk about it. But I'm like, you know what? The more and more I realize that I should be talking about it, and I should be kind of owning the fact that I am an artist. I think once again, it's like we put these things in our head of like, well, I didn't take professional art classes, but it's literally runs in my vein. Like my mom's an artist. My great aunt's a very well-known artist in Mexico. She ran in the circle of like Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera and all those people. And she has a museum named after her. She has book. Like, I mean, she's legit. Like she's probably, every time they do articles of like top 10 artists in Mexican history, she's makes the list. But it's like, I don't know, I just never really talked about it or showcased it until just recently. And I'm like, why not? Like, it's a huge part of my life. My parents collect art. Like, this is Huichol art. My mom's place is just like full of art. And I grew up going to art galleries and all of that. There's so much that I just don't talk about it's funny how many people think that I'm really vulnerable and transparent in my personal life. I am, but I don't even share like not even half or a third of like my life. That's how like crazy it is.
I feel like that's almost like a challenge or a throwdown. So tell me,
throw it down. I'll throw it down.
Let's unpack some of the stuff. Hey, I would love to coach you about the artist, being an artist, but we can do that another time. That's big. That's big.
Hey, Joan, are we? Is this like a dating thing too? Someone just said Bill Bradford. Oh my God, I love Bill. He's like, Joan, haven't found a man for you yet. Like, are we talking about like man, like dating wise, or man?
Yeah, Bill's.
I need a man too, Bill. We can probably turn this into like a dating live stream. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's Katie J. We were just talking about you. Oh, I love this. All my friends are hopping on. I feel like
Kenny,
I'm proud of it.
Kenny, I have heard that no one has gotten you on live. So Kenny,
yeah, good luck with that one, girlfriend. Good luck.
Let's get that. No, I want to tell you and the other people that are listening on one. I don't even know how it started now. At some point I said, Bill, are you single? And he said, I'm married for 30 years or something. And I was like, darn it. Well, if you know anybody that wants this whole package right here, it's
you want a piece of this?
It's ready. Oh, okay. Wait, here. Bill is saying, Joan,
tell this story. Okay.
Tell her story. Okay. So, I'm joking, Bill, right now. I'm just saying, I like walks on the beach. And I don't know if you've ever done online dating, but like,
that's funny you just said that, because when I was at La Jolla a couple days ago seeing the sunset, I wanted to do a post, something really funny of like, I like walks on the beach. I love a good sunset. Like, same thing. I was thinking about all of that. I was like, this is for real though. Like, I legit like walks on the beach and like sunsets.
But Bill's been married before online dating.
Oh,
so he's been married a long time.
He totally just aged you. Wow.
Back in the day, you know that story about pina coladas. I like pina coladas and walk in the rain.
It's like, do you like pina colada?
Right. That was a newspaper.
So I'm gonna stop.
That was a newspaper. You would write ads in newspapers and people would read them. Anyway. We'll have to get back to Joan's story another time.
Yeah, but look, you got like a male fan club in the audience.
What can I say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but now back to you.
Okay.
Back to you. When we were having our green room conversation.
Yes.
I was asking Raquel what specifically what she wants to talk about and things like that, and she said I could have a conversation about dirt if I needed to. So let's hear it. Let's hear what you got to say about dirt.
Dirt. There's so much to say about dirt. You know what I mean? Like, you can find dirt anywhere. You can I'll spare you the dirt. How's that?
Yeah, that's right. There's so many different meanings of dirt.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, even like, what was that? Back in the day, what the dessert it's called dirt, and it's orange, and then they would put the gummy worms in there.
Oh yeah, pudding and
the pudding, and it was called dirt, wasn't it? And it was
called dirt pudding or something. So good.
What happens? I'm already thinking about like food and sweets.
Well, I think that shows that you have really high intelligence.
Really?
Okay. That you can go to there. I listened to this thing on NPR one time, and they were talking about.
Mom, can you call Titica and tell her that I can't answer the phone, please? Pero afuera, porque todo el mundo te puede oír. Sorry.
And you're bilingual.
Okay, you know what? Let me just hold on. Hey, Titica, I keep hanging up on you because I'm actually on a live stream like right now. So I told Mom to call you. No, it's okay. I didn't put the phone on Do Not Disturb. It's my fault, but I have it because of Dad. But I gotta go. I love you. Bye.
Is that another thing that we don't know about you, that you're fluent in Spanish?
Yeah, my mom's Mexican, and Spanish was technically my first language. So, yes.
That is amazing.
So when I go to Mexico, no one ever questions me. They just assume I'm Mexican.
Wow, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, so that's why I was like, Mom, call, because my sister's here. Like, and once again, it's like, bring back the Spanish, Raquel. Yeah, and then Michael can't make it up. You can't make it up. I'm not making this up. This is for real. You know what's funny? The other day, someone was messaging me and saying that like their life is like Forrest Gump, and I feel like mine is too. Like, I could sit there and see all these stories and all these random things, and I think people would be like, there's no freaking way like that you've lived that, or you've met that person, or you experienced that. And I'm like, it's legit, it's real. I think maybe that's why I don't talk about a lot of things, because I don't want people thinking that I'm just like making this shit up.
Well, everybody has this alter ego of like, I don't want to be a show off. I don't want to be a bragger, So to me, if I can do a little bit of coaching, what I tell my clients is like, over here, if you have a straight line, over here is a being a doormat, and over here is being a narcissistic braggart asshole.
Yeah.
And in the middle is just who I am. This is who I am. I own it. And what you do with the information I tell you about myself is, if you want to go into all this, like, okay, that's your stuff, not mine.
Yeah, but I do. It is difficult for me to still like figure out a balance with that, because a lot of times I do want to share certain things, but I was like, I don't want anyone thinking that I'm like trying to show off or brag or whatever. But at the same time, it's like part of my life. That's why with the art or with the span, a lot of that, like, I just don't talk about it because I don't want people being like, oh, here she goes, because my kids already think that I talk too much about myself. So yeah, they're like, Mom. But I think with them, and I told them, and this is something, and even with my mom in the other room, like, and she could hear it, and I'm very open about with my parents, is that my parents, they didn't really like listen to me, and I still have issues of like, Mom, just listen, right? Like, so it was like, I didn't really, and I joke around that I was like the white sheep of the family instead of the black sheep, because my family was all a bunch of egocentric narcissists, like performers, very artistic, like that type of, personality where they all want the attention. And so people laugh because when they're like, man, you're like probably the craziest one out of your family. I go, actually, I'm like the quietest one, the most reserved one, and out of my entire family. And I've always been that person that's been like super just withdrawn. And, I was like the rule follower, all of those things, and they weren't. And so for me, I just never really spoke up or spoke about myself. And so then now, like, I have more of that confidence and everything. And so with my kids, they're my kids, right? So it's like, I want to share things with them, and they just look at it like, Mom, like, we don't care. Like, we really don't, like, stop talking.
How old are they?
20 and 16. So they're at that age of like, they've got their own stuff going on, right? Like, I mean, we have a great relationship, but they definitely are like over it.
Well, I remember one time, I think my daughter said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time, Mom. Because I'm like, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be good. There's nothing about this that is okay. There's nothing about this that is okay. I'm like, I know, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my brother, I was just laughing because I went to grab like a mug for my coffee, and I knew right away this was my brother's mug because it says, today has been absolutely positively shit. So I was like, that's my brother's, because my brother and I are very opposite with that. Like, he's the one that is doom and gloom and looks at all the negative, and I look at the complete positive, and he gets really pissed off at me too. He's like, Raquel, you think everyone's inherently good, and then you think that everything's great. You're so optimistic. I'm like, I'd rather look at life that way than the opposite. Sorry. So yeah, we're very different like that. You reserved. I was. Katie, I will tell you, if you ask my family and you ask a lot of like, when it came to that, I definitely was reserved. Not anymore.
I have so many things I want to say. First of all, I want to give you a really big hug. How many kids are in the family?
With me, I'm the eldest of 3. So my brother's 5 years younger than me. And then I have my sister, who was calling over and over again, who's 14 years younger than me. So when she was born, I was 14, and I almost was like a mom to her, because my mom was 41 when she was born. And my mom was kind of like, it wasn't planned. And so she was kind of like, I'm 41 and I have a bath. So I was like, I got you, Mom. Like, I'm going to be Mom. So I totally like took care of my sister. She was like a doll to me. Every time I would do homework, I would have my sister, and I'm feeding her, and she's with her little pacifier. And so we've always had a very special bond because of it, So I definitely am like very protective of her. And even though she's 14 years younger than me, I tell her all the time that I look up to her. Like, I admire her so much. Like, she's my hero. So
well, you know what, that's a great way, since you are a coach and you help people transform their lives. Bill says, I've always been the cup is half full guy as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people could say, oh my gosh, you were robbed of your childhood because you had to become a parent at 14. but you just turned it around and said, I love this little baby, and I still am in love with her.
But the thing is what a lot of people don't realize. I'm pretty vocal about it, but I went into a state of clinical depression in my teens because of the pressures that I put on myself, because I was that kid that was perfect, that wanted to be perfect, that wanted a certain image. They wanted to please everybody. I was such a people pleaser. And because my brother 5 years younger than me, he was a difficult kid. He's still a difficult kid. And I say kid because I still look at him like a kid. He's gonna be 41, but he's still been difficult for my parents. I'm not gonna lie. And so for me, even more so, was like, well, crap, I see what my brother's doing to my parents. So I have to be even more of a perfect child. And I definitely cannot rock the boat. That's why I call my channel Rock the Boat now. Like, I can't do anything to ruffle any feathers. Like, God forbid I do anything to make it harder on them. So that's why when my sister came along, I'm like, I kind of, my parents were going through a separate, the dynamic was just, let's just say we all have our issues. Everybody's got their family problems. Like, so for me, it just, it took a course of me just going downhill, because I just was like, I can't be everything to everyone. I can't be perfect. I can't please everyone. And so then at some point you think, like, I'm not, what's the point at this? Like, that's just how bad I was clinically depressed. And I actually attempted suicide when I was at UCLA. And so people don't realize that I've been in the worst, darkest place. And because I've been there, I don't ever want to go back. And I see just like the blessings and all of it. But yeah, like I've been in that place of where the the cup was empty completely.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. I think I've heard that. I think I've heard you talk about that before.
Yeah, I try to be very open about it, because once again, people can assume your birds are too noisy in the background. I know. Maybe I should get like the.
Oh, he's joking. He has a bird. No, Bernard. Are you serious?
I have my phone somewhere.
No, Bernard has a bird.
Oh, Bernards are too busy. Okay, too noisy. But yeah, that's why I'm very vocal about it, because I want people to understand that you can be this happy but still have been in a really bad place. You can overcome and you can thrive and you can do all those things. And, and also you never know what people are going through and their struggles that they've been through. Like, just because I'm happy doesn't mean I've always been that way. My life is great. Like I said, we all have our shit. It's just how we choose to look at it.
Yeah. And it's such a great time to be alive right now, because so many more people are talking about mental illness. And I have depression myself. I've been diagnosed with, Bill, don't put this on my online dating application. That's for like the third or fourth date if we get there. Oh my gosh. I forget. But
well, no, you were gonna say, like, we're gonna tell Bill, don't put this on my online dating thing. But you've had depression.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what it was called, chronic depression. But you would never know it. It was like I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. When I go out the door, whatever I have to be, to whoever I have to be, I'll be that.
Yeah.
And then when I come home by myself, I'm a mess.
Wow. That's why, but I tell people that too. I'm like, hey, we're really good at hiding these things. Like even when I was going through the height of it, like I was living with my best friend, Nancy, and she didn't even realize how bad it was. And here she's in her bed's like, we're sharing a bedroom. So it just goes to show you that you just can't assume. That's why when people are like, hey, how are you? Like, say, how are you? And then stop and pause. Because if most people are just going to say fine and then move on. But if you actually like say, how are you? And then just like look at someone in their eyes and then just pause for a moment and give them that space, you'd be surprised how many people will then open up a little bit. Like, you know what? Not so hot. And then you're like, what? You know what I mean? And then that's how the conversation, then hopefully you get someone to kind of open up a little bit more, as opposed to be like, hey, how are you? I'm good, great, fine. And then moving on, which all of us do all the time.
And then when I do share it with people, they don't know what to do with it. So it's like, even now, if someone says, how you doing? And I'll say, I'm having a good day. Today's a good day. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, sometimes I have really bad days. And they don't know what to say to it. So we're educating people. So congratulations. I have never actually planned or went through with it, but my thoughts are more of who would care?
That's how I felt. Obviously,
would notice? Who would really notice? Who would really notice?
Right? Or like, who's going to miss me? But now that I'm a parent, I was like, oh my gosh, like I almost left my kids, or I almost left my parents without a child. Like I could it's totally different perspective now that I'm a parent. Absolutely. But it's
okay. Not. Exactly. I need to clarify something for a second. Kenny, the birds you are hearing are actually at Raquel's house because the only
why does he keep making fun of Bernard?
He thinks it's Bernard because Bernard has birds. Wait.
Yeah, and I don't know where my headphones are because I was going to say I could do the headphones and that way you guys don't have to hear the noisy birds. Unless Katie, they're not that noisy. You're just being mean. I'm just kidding. I think they're over there. I can grab them. Tell me, and it's okay. So this is what's funny is that, oye mamá, en esa bolsa allí creo que tengo los audífonos para mi teléfono porque lo que está pasando es que están diciendo que el pájaro es demasiado ruidoso, pero no. Sí, okay. Gracias. So the funny story behind the bird, it's YouTube. Yeah. So my mom in the older house, like she found this like newborn bird that literally had just fallen out of its nest. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, what do I do with this bird? And so she went ahead and YouTubed videos in Spanish. ¿Verdad que estaban en español?
Sí, era un español.
Yeah, un español de España. So it was actually like a Spaniard, like from Spain, was doing a video on how you revive like a bird. So she learned how to feed it. She learned, and now it's like totally thriving, obviously, and it's in this beautiful cage. Like she has it all. It's really pretty, right by the outside and everything. But yeah, so she named it YouTube because thanks to YouTube, the bird's alive. Oh my God, now my mom's singing.
What kind of bird is it? Do you know?
I think it's like a finch. Yeah, mommy?
It's a wild bird.
Oh, it's a what bird?
Like a wild bird.
She goes, it's like a wild bird. I think
exactly.
It's a type of finch.
Okay.
Right? Those are like the little kind of, yeah. Okay. All right. So
well, whatever's in the trees out there.
Yeah. So now you people cannot complain about the bird. Okay. Such whiners in the, it's such a peanut gallery.
Hey, Bernard says that's a funny story. And
it is a funny story.
I just think maybe it was foreshadowing because you now have a YouTube channel.
I know. Now I'm a YouTuber.
How many years ago did she find the bird?
Before she moved here, so like 4 years.
Okay.
Like, yeah, this bird, and it sings every morning, and she sings it. She goes, YouTube. Like, that's how we have to call them. We can't just say YouTube. We have to go, YouTube. See, this is my family, folks. Like, now you guys know where I get it from.
Oh, my gosh. That's funny. That's funny. And you know what? I'm also seeing like I'm getting a little choked up, but bringing your life at UCLA.
Yeah.
You were lost.
Yeah, very lost.
And dying spiritually, maybe physically, emotionally.
Oh, yeah, all of it.
And you were brought back to life to this.
Yeah.
To basically singing like the bird is singing in the way that you sing is speaking.
Oh, wow.
It's so metaphorical to me.
It is. And it was interesting too, because so I was born in 75. So in the 90s, I was a teenager. And on Hulu, so you remember Punky Brewster, right? The show? Yeah. So Soleil Moonfry had documented her entire like upbringing and childhood, and even with her friends. She always had a video camera. And she had video recorded everything. She even saved her messages, like her voicemails and her notes. And she journaled every single day. Like, so she had all these journals. And apparently, like maybe in her 20s, she decided to literally put them all in a vault. And she just reopened that vault. And so she's my age. I think she was born in 75 too. So here she's gonna be, so she's 45, and she decided to open it all up. And they did a documentary and all the videos and everything. And so I loved it because, I loved it because at the end of it, she goes, I feel like I'm coming of age again. Like, and so that's something that I feel like I'm coming of age again. Like this is like my coming of age story where with the kids and having conversation with them. Cause that was another thing too, that I realized as I'm having a conversation with a 13-year-old, that I felt like I was speaking to my 13-year-old self when I was talking to her on my channel.
Oh my God.
Because she was very much like me. And she was like, I really like adults and I'm very mature, all these things. And I said, you know what, Kaylin? I go, maybe that's why I love talking to kids now, because I never really had allowed myself to kind of like appreciate my peers, because I was always wanting to be the mature one. So I was always kind of like talking to the adults, and I love talking to my parents' friends. And so I was that person. So I kind of ignored that part of my childhood. So I think that's me now kind of being like, hey, I missed out on this part of my life. So I'm going to go ahead and basically like relive it. And so, I think that's kind of what's happening.
Well, it's interesting because I am doing a bunch of inner family work right now myself. So I don't tell everyone that's listening about you talking to young people on your Rock the Boat. Tell us about Rock the Boat.
So I've always loved children. Like when I was younger, I worked at, like, I think my internship for high school was to work at my old preschool, my old daycare. I thought I wanted to be a teacher. Just have always loved kids. Like, I can relate to them. I don't know what it is. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. Like, for me, it's been everything. So I always knew that I wanted to do something along the lines career-wise, but I just never did. And then not only that, like the fact that I'm a mom of 2 kids, and then you've got social media, right? So like just seeing them go through what social media has kind of like done to them mentally. The fact that they've already been to a funeral of kid, that committed suicide, they've already, like, there's just a lot there. So I always was like, gosh, I want to be someone that like helps educate my kids, right? I know, June, I'm going to interview her. I'm going to have a conversation with her son. I'm so excited. But so it was one of those things where like, and then the pandemic hits, and then that's like double whammy for these kids, right? So one day I was thinking about it. I was like, all right, everyone keeps telling me that I should have my own podcast, or I should have a LinkedIn Live. And I was like, yeah, that's great and all, but I want to be different. Like I'm in that place where before I was like conformed to everything and I felt like I had to be like everybody else. Now I'm like, screw that. Like it's the opposite for me now. So I thought I got to do something nobody else is doing. And then one day I'm like, no one's talking to our kids. I was like, I'll do it. I'm like, we'll see how this goes. So I literally just started having conversations with kids. I just hit the record button when the Zoom pops up, and then I see where the conversation go. There's no, questions that I come up with. I don't do any research like June's son. Like, I don't know anything about him. I just know that, like he wants to like have a conversation with me, and then he'll pop up. I'll hit the record. And I'll just start kind of just asking questions. And it's just been great. And I've been learning so much. Like, I don't think I realized like how much I was going to actually take from it. I thought, it'll be just kind of like lighthearted. No, oh my gosh. Like it's changed me as a person, and how I show up as a parent, how I just interact with our youth, all of it. Like it's definitely opening up my eyes to so many different things. And I want in turn to be able to do that to other people and other adults, because I think, we're doing a disservice to our youth, because I think a lot of us, not everybody, but there's a lot of us that think that the generational gap is huge because of technology and social media, that like we can't relate. And the more and more I have these conversations with our youth, I'm like, no, there's so many commonalities. Like, oh my gosh, like if anything, these are just mini versions of us as adults or humans. Like they still want human connection. They still want to feel heard. They still want to feel worthy. They still want to feel valued. All of the same things that as adults, they're still doing it, even though they're on their phones and their social media. Like, believe me, they are craving it too. And so that's what I love, is that I'm like shedding light our youth in a way that I think so many of us were just not getting it. And we can learn so much from them. I mean, and they know that too. There's been a couple conversations where I've had with these kids, and they're like, the adults can learn a lot from us. Mm-hmm. Like they're very insightful. They're very smart and so intelligent and so creative too. That's something that I forgot, that like most of our kids are born super creative and artistic and all of those things. And somewhere along the lines, they're either pushed in a different direction, or they're, maybe it's not nurtured, and their parents are not helping their artistic abilities. They're like, no, you got to be this or that, because that will make you money, or, and so forth. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of our youth too, because they're like, even the boys, like, right? Like I think a lot of people assume it's like more of a female thing to be creative. These young men, like, oh my gosh, a lot of them love to do like animation and draw. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
And I don't know that AI is ever going to replace it.
No.
This soul connection, this authenticity of speaking, like, I see you, I hear you.
Yeah.
I want to hear you.
So here these younger generations they're still wanting that too.
Yeah, I don't think a machine is ever going to replace that.
Yeah. No, and they like to have conversations. I think that's another thing too, is we assume that they don't want to talk. Yeah, they do. If anything, it's how it's proven to me, it's because I have multiple conversations with these kids. Most of them, hey, when can I come back on and talk to Miss Raquel? Or when can I talk to Raquel? Like, they ask because they enjoy the fact that there's an adult that's like willing to listen and engage. And not only that, like, I take it very seriously, where I've binged every single Star Wars movie. I've watched all the Mandalorian. I've binged all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. I watched WandaVision, all of that, because they're like talking about it. And I was like, I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. And then it's like, and then once again, it's that like common ground. And I even text, so Natasha, she's 12, and she's the one that got me on all of it. I get to meet her for the first time next weekend. She's flying down with her mom from North Carolina, Northern California. Her mom and I, we're in the mortgage industry. We've never met, but Natasha's been on my channel, I think I want to say maybe 3 times already. And so they're making it a point to fly down to LA. I'm going to drive up and I'm going to get to meet her. And it's so sweet because she's already been texting me. I'm so excited to meet you. I can't wait. And I'm like building relationships with these kids too. Like, I don't want it to just be like one and done. Like, hey, I already talked to you, moving on. Right? Like, no, like I want it to be, hey, I'm here for you, even offline. Like, I don't want them thinking that they can only talk to me if it's recorded, for the channel. I tell them all, like, hey, if you ever need someone just to listen, or you just need to talk, like, just know that I'm here for you.
Amazing. Like changing lives. Like a pebble in the pond, just going like this.
And that's how it works. Like, I think so many of us think that like we have to do something grandiose, or it has to be something like, just like huge. And I'm like, no. It's babies. It's like little, like you said, little pebbles. And then it becomes a domino effect. Just like, so Michael Ray, so today is World Down Syndrome Day. And so he, obviously Maddie Moo, he had done a post. I did a post because we'll do FaceTimes and there's a bunch of screenshots that I have with her. But he just sent me this beautiful video that was done for today. And it was Sting and it was a video just showing a baker hiring a young woman with Down syndrome for his bakery. And then, then it shows like a lawyer showed up to the bakery, saw that the baker had hired Simone. And because he had hired Simone, she went ahead and hired John for the law firm. And then the client came to the law firm. So it was just showing, it was like,
oh, I love that.
What's that rhyme, that song?
Pay it forward.
Yeah. So it was just showing that like, hey, by them doing and them seeing it, like they kept doing it, just paying. Yeah. Like you said, paying it forward. Now you have all these people hiring, folks that have Down syndrome. It's the same thing that I'm trying to do, in the sense of like, hey, if I could just have people visually see, like, wow, like, I can visually see this conversation she's having with this kid. And wow, just how simple of a conversation they're having of like, oh, maybe I should be a little bit more open to talking to the youth when I'm out and about, or maybe I should, or maybe even the parent with their kid. Like, wow, if my child's willing to open up this woman, maybe I should be a little bit more kind of, giving him or she the permission and space to do it to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. I'm just trying to set an example, I guess, and see where it goes.
Well, don't right now, as your coach, I'm going to tell you or ask you why, after you turned into a light bulb and you were talking about affecting the youth, and you were like this and that, and then you said, well, it's just a little thing I'm doing. It's not really that important.
See, that goes to show you the insecurities of like, and that's why I've always been the one to hold myself back.
Because I want to tell you that you were on fire when you were saying that, on fire when you were talking about the kids.
Yeah, and it's funny when I do that, everyone's like, they feel it. They're like, I feel your passion. Like,
oh my God, totally.
I feel like how much you love. And that's why I tell people, like, I need to monetize what I'm doing, because I could do this all day, every day. And be so happy, because I walk away from every single conversation feeling so fulfilled, and my heart and my everything is just like so happy, and there's so much love and all of it. And so yeah, I need to figure out. So if anyone out there wants to be a sponsor, I'm going to end up on a multimedia platform called E360 TV. I'm going to actually do a live show, a live stream. And so yeah, that's where I'm going to need, because some sponsorships there, because it'll be not only on social media platforms, but they have a partnership with Apple TV, Roku, and Peacock. So then I'll have a much wider audience on there, because YouTube is difficult to monetize. That's the long game. So yeah, so that's where I'm going. Tell her, yeah, Katie.
Okay, because what I saw you doing is. Oh shoot! My battery is running out. You might have to do a lot of talking while I go get my battery. But what I envision, and I have a really strong intuition. And when I coach people, I say, "Is it okay if I share it with you?" So, is it okay if I share it with you?
Absolutely.
I see you on a stage, and almost like that. With hundreds of kids in the audience, and then that intuition just turned to like an Oprah Winfrey show.
That's so funny. The other day, someone's like, she's like the Oprah for kids, and my mom's like, put it out in the universe, because it was my mom's friend. So mom, she just said Oprah Winfrey. You know what I do? I have a strong intuition too, and I do know that one day I will be on a stage, or I will have like. I do feel that, like I really do. And that's why I'm like, Raquel, stop holding yourself back. Stop having that fear in your head. Like, stop doing that. Sage, she went to go get her battery. So yeah, we all are like that. We all kind of, for whatever reason, we give ourselves that like negative talk, and we think, oh, maybe we're not capable, or maybe, whatever. But yeah, so I'm having to kind of like exercise that positive self-talk all the time. Yes, Bernard, in time. Absolutely. Listen, I've already waited this long, and I'm going to be 46 this year. So I've already considered myself a late bloomer. So the fact that I've already all this time has passed, like I'm super patient. If it's going to take another, I don't know how many years. I mean, shoot, even with LinkedIn, I mean, I've been on this platform for 8 years. And I've really, I've shown up every day, and I've done the work. And so now I'm, basically getting to see the fruits of my labor, if you will.
Okay. So as your coach, can I give you a challenge?
Yeah. Do I need to write this down?
You have a pretty good memory.
Yeah. I was like,
you have your thinking cap on.
I do, yes.
Okay, so just be bold, be brave. I would reach out to my I totally believe in 6 degrees of separation.
Mhm.
And you already kind of intimated that you know people in high places.
I do.
So the goal is to get a talk with Oprah Winfrey.
Okay. Oprah. Well, I will tell you this. I already reached out and, obviously it's like, I didn't hear anything back, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to like stop. So for instance, like Jennifer Garner, I love her and
Love her.
Yeah, love her. And so I did reach out on Instagram and I let her know that she was on my vision board this year.
Oh, I saw that.
Yes. So once again, like and it's funny because, she did something with Oprah just recently on her Instagram too. So yeah, I'm definitely putting it out there. And once again, like I do know a lot of people. I just have never been that person to like reach out. But now I'm more confident because I know what I'm doing is to help the kids. It's not like a self-serving thing, right? It's not like I have like my own personal business and it's something I'm selling. And so I'm going to, utilize the network I have. Like in this case, I'm like, no, Raquel, you do know people in high places. Like, remember, this is for a good cause. Like what you're doing is you're helping our youth. So it's easier for me to be that person to reach out.
It's easier for, science has proven that it's easier for everyone to do that. It's easier for me to do this if I'm helping someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so then very quickly, and then we'll get back to the show. I want you to write down 3 people that you know in high places that you can, could help you with this goal.
Yeah, I have a good friend that's already he's you
don't have to tell us who it is.
No, I know, but like even just yesterday, I even said, "Hey, dude, you got to sponsor my show," and he's like, "Yeah, we'll talk about it," because yeah, like that's what I mean. I was like, because he's telling me how he's like killing it in his business, and now all his clients are NFL players and NFL coaches. I was like, "Yeah, you're going to sponsor my show." He's like, "Okay." So yeah, like I'm ballsier when it comes now with that, for sure. So yeah, I will. Thanks, coach.
This is what I use. This is what I use for my clients. That
was easy.
Yeah.
That was easy. Oh my gosh, because I feel like since it's Serendipity and Synchronicity Sunday, that I feel that I'm allowed to say the God word once in a while. And I feel that it's God inspired, it's divinely inspired. And that I can tell you that no one else is thinking what you're thinking. It's just you.
Yeah.
And those thoughts come from outside of us. And then it's almost like our duty to walk into that fear, to cross through. Like this would be more of a Matrix kind of game, kind of movie. But you said you watched all those movies, crossing through up to the unknown, and it's scary.
It's really scary.
Like what if it actually happens?
As Nancy's texting me right now. As Nancy would say, not what if it happens, when it happens.
Well, what I mean by that is,
no, but she's like, I can already like hear her in my head.
Sometimes people, including myself, I'm much more afraid of success than failure. I have failed.
Oh my God. Joan, I tell people that all the time. They're like, are you afraid of failure? I go, hell to the no. I'm like, I can fail all day long and be okay with it. I go, it's this success that scares the shit out of me.
Exactly.
It does. And it's stupid little things because I'm not one to really believe in like imposter syndrome. I feel like that's another thing that's being thrown around. But at the same time, you do start thinking like, well, what if people think that like, I'm not worthy of speaking to these kids because of whatever, or what's something I've experienced. Right. So it's like, even though I don't believe in that, like every now and then I have those thoughts. And so I'm like, Raquel, stop it. Like, I mean, that's why I try to be as much of an open book as I possibly can, because unfortunately we're in a place in the society where everybody wants to tear you down, and they'll do anything they can to do it, right? So they'll dig up dirt, they'll do all those things. And so it's hard not to think about that of like, okay, is there something that I did that like I might get everything and then it's going to be taken away from me in a heartbeat. But I have to like, but that's also, I think, the reality, right? Like that people or some people aren't nice. And I think that's a part of also that of like, okay, I'm going to work for all of this. And then it's going to be something really stupid. That's just, but yeah, I got to stop thinking that way.
Yeah. And it's difficult. Yeah. It's difficult because we live in a society. We see everything on the news all the time and people are getting in trouble because they said this or that. And I read it and I go, I don't interpret it that way at all.
Yeah.
And this person's life is getting ruined. But
yeah.
What a great lesson for the kids to come on the show the next week and say, hey, you're affected by social media. I have just been affected by social media. And this is what I'm going to do about it. Yes, it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's why a lot of people are scared that success, because the judgment comes, all of those things. It's like everybody has an opinion and and all of that. And so that part of it, it is scary to me. And then it's also scary because it's that worthiness of like, am I worthy of being that successful? Do I deserve all of those things? So it's like that rhetoric also starts coming into play. But yeah, as I get older, I realize, you know what? Especially with COVID, like life is short. You only live once.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really don't want to be someone that like regrets something on my deathbed and being like, man, I should have,
That's what they say. They say on your deathbed, you regret more the things you didn't do than the things you did do.
Yeah. And so I think I'm kind of in that place, right? Like, and I even joke around. This is something like where, like I'll get hit on by like 20 somethings and like 30-year-olds and,
of course.
like that. And, as much as like, everyone's like, oh, you're such a cougar. I'm like, you know what though? I'm going to be like appreciative of it, because at some point in time, like no one's going to give me a second look. And I'm going to be like, you know what? I should have given that guy time of day. We're like, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? It's funny. So I do think about it that way of like, Raquel, you're not getting any younger. There's going to come a point where you're going to wish someone, turned around.
I don't think that day is ever going to come. I don't think that day is ever going to come, because it's your essence, their light that people are attracted to. The real you is who people are attracted to.
But we're all females. We all buy into that stupid crap of like, I gotta look young, and I gotta like, I got some wrinkles here, or I gotta, you know what I mean? Like it's really pathetic, but a lot has to change for us women to like not feel that way. And I don't think it's going to be in my lifetime, to be honest.
Well, with my clients that allow me to talk about GOD, I tell them that voice, I don't know whose voice that is, but it's not God's voice. God's voice is only encouraging and loving, and I can help you, and I know you're scared, and I'm here for you. And these voices of like I was just telling you last week when my guest canceled.
Me, everyone, I'm the guest that canceled. But this is where, like, before I would have felt guilty. I would have not had like all of that, right? But it was like I was picking up my son from college. And before, I wouldn't have wanted to disappoint you. None of that, right? So I would have figured out a freaking way. I would have pulled over on the side of the road and on a rest stop, and like I would have done it. But I was like, no, like this is the first time that my son is actually allowing me to pick him up from college. It's his second year. Like I have yet to go down there and see his frat house where he's living. None of that. So like for me, it was a really big deal. So I was like, no, Raquel, like priorities. It's okay. Like Joan's going to understand that your son comes first. But that took a lot.
And then it'll be easier next time to stand up for you. Or as you said, that little Raquel inside.
Yeah.
Who nobody ever stood up for.
Exactly.
So why I even brought that up was like just last Saturday, I was all into it. Like Raquel gave me plenty of notice to find someone else. And I just was in this place where I was like, who's even watching? Who even cares?
Oh, that's like,
and I was like, I just can't, I kind of reached out to a couple people. Then I was like, eh. So then my coach was very proud of me because I still got on. I said, well, I'm just going to do my go-to table topic. So we did that for a while until Bernard was brave enough to come
thank
on.
you, Bernard. I appreciate you. See, but like it just goes to show you that you have your support. You have your people that are there to help you out in the last minute, right? So then it just goes to show that what you're doing, people want to see. So
and also this voice said, Joan, hello. This show is called Serendipity and Synchronicity. So just go on and see what happens.
And I think it's perfect that I am coming to you this now from San Diego in my family, you know, with my mom, with, you know what I mean? Like, so our conversation would have been so different last Sunday. So different.
You would have been so stressed out, and it
would have been very different. So serendipity, I totally believe in all of that. Like I really, truly believe it. So like it was meant for it to happen this way. And what's really cool is that you and I are going to actually meet.
Exactly.
Because we're not too far from each other. So
after you get all your things taken care of, all your contacts. Okay, we're coming close to the end. So you haven't talked about
anything.
That is not true. Oh my gosh. Wait till you listen to this again. You have so much. There is so much good information.
By the way, I never go back because I'm like so mortified every time I see myself talk or like listen. I'll do if I want to do like a little snippet, but I rarely do. So
I feel the same way. I feel the same way because now I'm supposed to, according to my coach, I'm supposed to take these videos and cut up little snippets that I can put up.
Repurpose, yeah.
And just like, that involves me watching myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to talk at all about your branding business?
Yeah, because that's essentially what's making me money right now. So the reality is I do need to pay my mortgage. Yeah, so I do I'm a consultant for personal branding, and I'm starting to see a lot more people reach out to me, which is nice because obviously through COVID, people were holding on to their money for things that are a little bit more important than having a consultant help you with your personal brand. But now that things are kind of, lifting up a little bit, and I'm getting more people reach out to me, and it's great. So yeah, so I consult because just like I'm branding myself for Rock the Boat and I'm doing it all, it's all me. It's, I'm very creative and I like to think outside of the box and I have fun with it. And I think a lot of people are realizing that they need to do that for themselves as well. Just being that the social media and the internet's so saturated with more and more people because everyone's online doing their business. So then, yeah, I think more people are coming to me realizing like, okay, maybe Raquel will have me, help me stand out so that when people are scrolling through their feed, they'll actually stop.
So I come to you and I say, hey, can you brand me? What does it involve? What does it mean for someone who's listening that doesn't understand?
So I'm very different in the sense that, you do have a lot of people that kind of have like their 1, 2, 3 or like a package. And like, if you do follow these steps, I'm not like that at all. I'm very customized. And because I love relationship building and it's all about who you are and your personality, I get to know my client. Like I really even someone, I just got a new client, but when we had our introductory call, she was crying by the end of it. She was crying because she opened up and she was being super vulnerable. And she's like, okay, I'll work with you. And she was like, what just happened? I go, well, that's the thing is like, I feel like I'm also kind of like a therapist because it is a lot of it has to do with confidence building because it's when you put yourself out there, you're exposed and it's scary. And so it's me having to be a cheerleader for that person and get to know their story and some of their experiences because that in turn needs to be translated on their social media. At least I feel that way. I feel like that's how I've managed to kind of be where I'm at is because I've been very open and I share my journey, my failures and my successes. So yeah, Bernard, I have to know their story. And so that's what it takes. And I'm very honest about it up front. Like, hey, this is how I work. But I'm very lucky because most people that come to me, they already know what they're dealing with. That's why they come to me. They're like, they already know that I'm going to like challenge them and I'm going to ask them questions and I'm going to want to get to know them. So it makes it much easier. It's not like someone's just randomly finding me on the internet and I have to explain myself. I usually don't. But yeah, I love, it's a good way to utilize my therapy skills too. I think even the same thing with Rock the Boat. Like my dad's a doctor and he's always said to me, like, you always would have made a really good physician. He's like, you just, he's like, you're a healer and you're a listener and you're, you know, all of those things. And so it's just really cool that, that I get to do it in a different way.
Do you have a therapy background?
I don't. I just think I have I've always, you know, just been that person that even at my work and my businesses, like when at the companies that I used to work for, I remember at the builder, I was that everyone used to joke around. They're like, your office is like like a psychiatrist off, like the shrink. Cause I would have my like colleagues come in and they would share things with me and then walk out. Like I was that person that just people came and sat down and just started talking and opening up in a way where I was like, what just happened? And it's very humbling because I'll have like a LinkedIn intro chat. Once again, someone that like I just connected. And by the end of the conversation, a lot of them were like, Raquel, I just shared with you things that I've never shared with other people. Like what? And I just feel like I have that gift because I think maybe I'm so open and I don't judge. I really don't try to judge. Like who am I to judge really?
And earlier when we were talking about working with the kids, I wrote it down and I forgot to mention it.
Yeah.
The fact that, but then you just said something about my therapy. Oh, you being in therapy, the therapy that you have received. Oh, okay. I
haven't been to therapy in forever. Like I went to therapy after I attempted suicide. I got off meds because I tried to OD on all my pills. So I got off the antidepressants. So I've never been on medication since. I've never gone to a therapist since then. This is all internal work that I've done. Like I've really, yeah, it's a lot of work, but because I've done it, like I know it can be done.
Well, what I wanted to say before we get off is, that's what makes you so attractive to the kids is that you're not a therapist.
Yeah.
So that a parent could say, like if a parent is saying to a teenager, I'd like us to go to therapy, it's a completely different thing than let's go talk to rock the boat.
Yeah. Yeah. And even my daughter, I remember she approached me a couple of years ago and she was like, you know, said she was talking about something because she was kind of like in a funk. And I simply said like, hey, should we get you, do you want to go to a therapist or someone to talk to? And she's like, why? When I can talk to you. She's like, you've been through all of this. And in that moment, I was like, wow, like my own daughter rather talk to me because I've actually experienced it. Because that's another thing too, is with therapists. Therapists can't be open about what they've experienced and what they're going through, unfortunately, right? And so I think a lot of times the patients think like, well, what do you know? You're just sitting there asking me questions.
Exactly.
And I can legit say, I know how you feel. And I can tell you about it too. Like I don't have any kind of clause as like a PhD or as a whatever, like that I can't say anything. Because that's another thing too, is like they legit can't say anything about their own personal lives. And I think that's where there's like a disconnect, unfortunately. I mean, not saying that you shouldn't go to see a therapist, but I feel like that's where a lot of people just don't feel like, but I don't know if they really understand, if they truly understand what I'm going through.
Right. It's a sharing of vulnerability.
Yeah.
So when I say I'm hurting in this way and someone says, oh, I understand. Well, they don't understand if they've never experienced it. So you can say, I understand because I've been there and got out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what I did to get out of it. And yes, it was work. Yes, it's not easy,
it's hard work.
But you can do it.
Yeah. Hey,
so.
where can we, let's see, I thought,
emphasize. I know Katie goes empathize. Yes, I can also empathize with people too. Not just empathize. I can emphasize.
You could do both because you are Raquel.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so how can someone get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you? To this.
Well, obviously I'm on LinkedIn. Then my Rock the Boat YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram as Raquel.Borras. I deleted my Facebook account 2 weeks ago. Yay. I'm on Clubhouse. I don't really do anything yet, but I'm going to eventually start doing stuff that has to do with kids too on there. So yeah, those are the main ways that you can find me: LinkedIn, Instagram, and the YouTube channel.
And rock the boat. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm good. I think I'm really good at responding to people's messages. So when it comes to DMs and everything, unless you're really obnoxious, I'm not going to respond, just saying.
Okay. I don't know if that's directed at anybody here right at this moment.
And I tell people that being that I have so many connections and so forth, I really don't get harassed, and I rarely get in. I really don't. Like, I think I've managed to do a really good job of having a really incredible network that if there's a lot of that we all respect each other, and I actually get I get a lot of respect, and I don't know why or what, but I really don't have much to complain about. You know, there's some people they're like, oh my gosh, I get this. I'm like, I really don't. I rarely do. Once in a blue moon, and it's really not even that bad. It's just like a hey sexy or a hey beautiful with emojis, and that's where I'm like, okay, that's not the right way to start a conversation with me on LinkedIn. Maybe on a dating app, which I'm not on, but you know what I mean.
Any closing words or advice or any parting thoughts you want to give to anyone who's listening?
My advice would be, I don't know, just don't take life so seriously. Like, have a little fun, laugh a little. Like, that's just where I'm living. Like, learn to be playful. It's okay. We're all adults, but there's nothing wrong with just like having fun and being playful and just honoring that inner child and just living life. I don't know. I've come to the point of like, keep it simple. Just like, there's so much to be grateful for. There really is. Like,
all right.
I don't know. I'm not that like philosophical when it comes to stuff like that. Sorry.
I think you're more than philosophical. I don't know. It's a deeper level than philosophical. To me, it's more of a spiritual level. It's more like you speak from your soul.
Yeah, and I have no filter apparently either. So
what'd you say?
And I have no filter apparently. So when I speak, it really is like literally just like coming out like the way I'm thinking it. So just
awesome. Okay, everyone.
I love you, Katie. Thank you. And yeah, my dad's parked outside, so I gotta head on out.
Okay. I'm gonna end the stream, and I'll talk to you all later.
Okay.
Bye.